Hi, my name is Borisław Petrov, known as Bobo, and after this DVD probably also known as Mafias. In the following 5 hours, I will be your guide through the matrix. Together, we will see with our own eyes how the 3D world functions under the hood. We'll start with a single point and move on to the basics of vectors, trigonometry functions, barycentric coordinates, matrix operations, and even ray tracing. In the first chapter of this DVD, we will look into the basics of vectors in 1- and 2-dimensional space. Then we'll move up to the 3rd and even 4th dimension and learn more about 3D vectors and color values. In the 3rd chapter, we will witness the importance of unit vectors and will peek inside a particle flow system using a script operator. Then we'll move on to basic trigonometry and learn about the vector dot and cross product operations. In the 5th chapter, we'll take an intimate look at barycentric coordinates and we'll see what they can do for us. In the 6th chapter, we'll learn how to build ray values and intersect them with scene geometry, and how to combine our newly acquired knowledge of barycentric coordinates to interpolate texture coordinates of an arbitrary point on a mesh surface. In the 7th chapter, we'll finally enter the matrix and see some simple practical examples of aligning nodes to other nodes and to particles. In the 8th chapter, we'll continue our journey through the world of matrices and learn more ways to use them in practice. In the 9th chapter, we'll see how vectors and matrix values can be used together. You will learn how to convert vectors into matrices and transform vectors into different coordinate systems. Then we'll move on to subobject transformations in chapter 10, where we'll see how to access and control modifier gizmos in object space using their transformation matrices. In chapter 11, we'll look through the eye of the virtual camera and see how viewports and cameras use matrices to transform world space into view space. Armed with all this knowledge, we will then go even deeper into the rabbit hole and see how all the matrix and vector operations are actually used to create colorful images out of zeros and ones. In chapter 12, we'll learn some basic principles of rendering and we'll start implementing our own ray tracer. In chapter 13, we will add basic texture support to our simple renderer. Then, in chapter 14, we will see how highlights are calculated using the Phong and the Bling model, and we'll implement support for the Blinn specular highlights in our renderer. Finally, in chapter 15, we will add ray trace shadows and ray traced reflections to our simple renderer, which you might want to extend further after watching this DVD. Now turn off your cell phone and prepare to dive into a new world.